Hello and welcome to Photopia Photoshop video. And today we're going to take a look at Gradient Tool and Paint Bucket Tool as very handy tools to create or modify backgrounds and create some interesting filter effects. So we're going to go straight to our share screen here. And we have our good old lion selected. And what I'm going to do in this video, we're also going to be dealing with some color selection and select tools as we go. So I'm going to use my magic wand around the lion here to isolate the lion and see what we can do with getting this area selected. So my magic wand tool has a tolerance, and I'm going to make that tolerance about 30. See where that gets us. So I click over here. 30 seems to be working nicely for selecting areas of this image by color. The lion itself does not have a lot of green in it. So the greens and blues isolate by color very nicely for us. And I'm not going to get into too much more detail than that. So I got this area selected, and I'm just going to go in here. In this area right here is where our gradient and paint bucket tools are. Now, whatever two colors we have chosen down here are the colors that are going to get placed into this selected area. So if I'm going to choose paint bucket, my dominant color here is white. So if I just click in these areas, I'm going to dump white in there. And it also has a tolerance, a color tolerance. So I'm going to up that tolerance to 100 so that I don't miss anything. I'm just going to start dumping the white paint in my selected area. Right. Plain and simple like that. And so I've got my line isolated like that. And I'm going to go to edit. I'm going to undo all that. So I'm going to be stepping backward to get rid of all those color steps. Actually, I can more quickly just go in and save some time. Go with a great big eraser. Erase those things out. Oh, look at that. I'm getting rid of all the background as well. That helps me isolate the lion. And then I can come back with my paint bucket tool, and it should just really drop white in pretty universally, like that. And then the less conflicted these areas are, the easier it is to get things in. Another thing that I should have done, undo that. If I can also make a new layer in here, I'm going to put that above, turn that off. Make a new copy of my line, turn it on, so we can see where this is all selected. I can, in my blank layer with everything that's selected, paint bucket into that area that is selected, and it overlays in terms of layers. So my layer 3 and my background copy 2 are overlaid, so I can turn that on and off very easily. I can change the color on this just as easily by choosing a different color, and I can nice gold would be cool. Be cool to put the line in, and I can just hit OK. And so now that becomes my current color, and I need to just color those areas yellow. And that's pretty much how Paint Bucket works. It goes with your dominant color, and it will color in any selected area. So let's talk about the gradient tool, which is the more advanced version of our paint bucket. So our paint bucket tool up here, if you look, it's got normal, right? And it can do different things. There's a lot of other stuff we can do here with it, but I just want to do the basics. Then our gradient tool, watch what happens up here when I choose the gradient tool. See, I've got this play now. I've got my two colors here, gold and black. I can switch through those. Now it goes black to gold. And this is what's called a linear gradient. So I'm going to click and drag a line across this image. Actually, I'm going to drag from top to bottom. And where I start dragging and from that point up is going to be solid gold. But where I stop dragging from that point down is going to be solid black. So I'm just going to click here and drag this line down. And over the distance of that line, it's going to do a gradient from the gold to the black. Now you see it's not doing much in this section. Let's see what happens when we do that. So the reason it wasn't doing much in this section is because this was a solid gold area. If I do from up here, if I do it longer, we'll start to see in that upper corner, they'll fall off a little bit in the grays. And I can drag that line any direction, right? And it'll work for me. Also, I can make a very short gradient. So I'm doing that short line there. So it's all yellow here, all black here, and the gradient is over the length of the line that I've laid out. There's a whole lot more gradient tools. For instance, there are radial gradients where I can go from yellow to black and it'll go out in a circle. I can do angled gradients. Where it actually spins around a center. I can do reflected gradients. Let's see what that does. So there's a little bit of bounce in there. Diamond gradients. So these are all different gradient tools we can use. There's also a whole menu of different gradient options. Let's take a look what that one does. It's actually overlaying these a little bit. Oh, because I'm in the diamond. I want to be in the linear version of that. So it's just basically it's overlaying the yellow to nothing. I've got like rainbow gradients, so I can drag that. If you choose one of the color gradients in the selections here, it will ignore your color choices. So it gives you some color families that you can work with as well. But you can see a gradient when it's transitioning from blue to red. It's got the purple in between, the red to yellow. It's got the orange in between. But yeah, another fun thing that we can do with our gradient tools, I'm going to make a new layer. And I'm going to turn off our layer 3. And I'm going to deselect all this line stuff. So I'm going to choose a paler yellow and real pale blue. Switch through those. Really pale blue. So I got a pale yellow and a pale blue. I'm just going to go to a regular old gradient, and I'll make it linear as well. I'm just going to go over this whole thing. Okay. Well, now it's turned off. Now this is what I wanted to demonstrate. If I had the opacity at 100%, right, it just goes from the yellow to the blue. But I can take, and this is a unifying effect for a lot of your images. So if you got an image that looks like it's all hacked together with different parts, or it's just too intense, one thing that you can do is take a gradient layer like this, some nice pale colors, and then slide that opacity way, way down. See how it softens everything and it creates a unified color field over everything. Okay, just with and it's very subtle. I'm cranking it up and up and up, but if I go down into the teens here with a percentage, I like that, and I can turn that on and off and take a look at how sharp and bold the colors are. But if I want something softer, I can use a gradient or a paintbrush tool and bring the opacity way, way down in order to soften an image. And so that's just another trick that I picked up and learned. And what it does, it helps tie all the things together that are extra in here. So I hope that was a helpful video, and we'll see you in the next one.